What's up everyone? Welcome to the third lesson of Midjourney prompting. Not gonna lie, this one is more tricky than both previous ones combined. We would like to place someone on this bench. Not only would like to have someone very particular fitting the Mediterranean vibes, but we also have a lot of interaction with the 3D scene. We have a low bench, specific table height, there's also light coming from the left. Lots to consider, but let's not worry too much and move on to the action.
So let's go to Midjourney and start with editorial photography. This is what we almost always begin with to set it to the right aesthetic. We use elegant Mediterranean men to achieve a certain style of clothing and appearance, to achieve the vibes, and of course add what he's doing. And boom, we get a lot of different results. At least we have the Mediterranean look, but we are far from it yet. So we keep trying. We work with the prompt, we will describe the activity in more detail. We add having hands on the table. Perhaps that will narrow down the generations. There's another trick we did here. We also added the 85mm lens. This is a trick we use to have a character further inside the scene. And here are the results. Aesthetically, we are kind of okay. We have hands on the table now, but we are not there yet.
We ran a couple of additional generations just to see if we get lucky.
It's not a huge difference, but I feel like these generations are a bit more focused, so that's a small win on our side.
We kept running the same generations, but it wasn't quite there.
One thing that struck us at this point was that maybe elegant man is not what we are looking for. We are getting either two elegant people or some gangsta boys. And we decided to go with a more casual Mediterranean vibe.
But anyway, it was time to look at our prompt.
And here adding the word linen to the prompt actually helped a lot. Actually, it doesn't make any sense in a grammatical way, it's just a linen man now. We could write that it's a man wearing a linen shirt or something like that, but sometimes the longer the prompt, the more Midjourney can get confused or ignore some elements. Anyway, it seems to be working.
That's the thing about prompting. Everything is connected. All the words have some impact and at some point it just clicks. And you definitely need to experiment with it, but hopefully our examples and way of thinking give you just a good head start to explore. We have different ways of using it, and I bet you will find your own when you start to test.
Circling back to our example, out of all those generations, I think we'll choose this one. It's almost there, we could even go with it. But I want to test some variations. Strong variations in particular. I want to see some different positions and perhaps get the lighting from the correct angle. That would be nice. But anyway, let's see what happens. Sweet, we have the sun direction from the opposite side now. It's a huge win. And we could actually go with this one. It's a pretty solid choice. But we actually won't stop here. I will do more variations, same as we did a minute ago. And we'll use another options that we haven't used before. It's also incredibly powerful. This option is called Remix. It's similar to a variation, but with a remix we're able to modify the prompt. You can change any aspect that you like, so I think it's extremely important you are aware of it. We'll change the prompt and run a couple of generations. First we'll add legs fully visible. I'm not too confident it's going to work, it's a drastic change, but we'll do the test anyway. And next up we'll run a couple of generations and type head turned left. The reason here is that we want him to be looking left instead of looking at the camera. And this is small enough change that Remix should be a perfect solution for that. Fast forward. We have our generations and as expected we don't see the legs. That's too much of a change for Remix. But thankfully we get a generation where he's no longer staring at the camera. At some point we settle on this generation and finally move to the edit module. We are inside the edit module right now. If you don't remember it, we actually used it in the Mediterranean image. We reshaped a whole character from a grown woman to a grown man. Now we will use it to our advantage and fill or change the missing parts. Before, we were just extending the frame using pan, but with Edit module, we can do way more than that. Let me quickly walk you through what we did here.
We can enter prompts to guide it, so that's a huge game changer. This helps us solve the problem we couldn't fix before with the remix. We remove the table and replace it with something where the legs will be visible. We enter a very similar prompt, but we focus on him sitting on a bench. We start to see the legs, the table is no longer visible that much. That's basically what we are looking for.
We change the prompt and add brown trousers to it. We wait a little bit and magically we are almost there. It's kind of important to set expectations when working with Midjourney. If you play around with it, you'll exactly know how far you should go with prompts and when you can go to edit and take it from there.
All of those tools we covered so far are incredibly useful. You can prompt, you can stylize, you can set raw, you can remix, make variations or edit, and at this point we just want to expose you to those tools. There's an incredible level of control and possible approaches. Just give it a go, and I hope that's enough to start with.
At this point, we just play around with the edit module. It's incredibly fun. We add additional text to the prompts, such as stretched legs, and continue generating. One additional thing to keep in mind is to change the aspect ratio. This is a nice way to force Midjourney to keep generating additional parts of the image, same as we did with the pan option earlier. And finally, we are done. We just click upscale and download our generation.
Beautiful. We are almost there. I know it's been a lot, but one last thing. For this particular case, we definitely want to see if the character actually fits into our image. He sits on the bench and has his hands lying on the table. So we need to be extra careful and triple check if the cutout works. And actually, there's some little work we need to do. But at this stage, there's nothing Firefly cannot fix. So I will run a super quick time-lapse of it. We modify everything quite freely. We split the guy in half, as you can see.
I let the elevator music play, there is nothing new at this point.
We add a magnific pass and that's that. Oh boy, that was something. This is a kind of a specific case that will hopefully open you up to a totally different, less than perfect, get the job done attitude. A lot of creative thinking and many tools to get there.
We encourage you to test it out, feel it out. It's more than enough to reach a goal, but you need to get that experience first. We'll do one last lesson on prompting, so hopefully this will give you enough tools to get you going. See you there!